Hello and welcome to Laytechs Weekly, episode 4th November 2020. Laytechs Weekly is brought to you by Laytechs, your protection from tech ignorance. My name is Sean. This week's, I'm coming to you from the comfort and confines of my home today, not traveling anywhere and not in the office. We are under kind of partial lockdown, not allowed to go into the office, so I've moved everything into my house. The sound may not be ideal, but let's just work with it for now. This week's news of the week. Spotify launches in Russia, shoots past 300 million users. In the last year, Spotify ran aggressive marketing campaigns in India and also launched its service in Russia and 12 surrounding markets. As a result, the company saw a 29% increase in monthly active users to 320 million. 144 million of them are paid, so kind of like halfway through kind of thing. This puts them comfortably ahead of rivals Amazon and Apple, with 55 million and 60 million paying customers respectively. It's also note to say that Apple does not have a non-paying version of their Apple Music. Despite the growth, Facebook still saw a loss of 101 million euros, partly because their campaigns included discounted plans. Spotify also invested heavily in podcasts with last year's purchase of podcast production company Gimlet Media. So Spotify is doing very well for itself. They are very aggressive, and despite all the growth, they are not actually making money yet, which is not unusual for a company like them. I mean, Netflix is also going through this thing. You might see that they are doing very well. They're growing a lot, and but in terms of their financial reports, they are still in a very aggressive state. They're not actually making money. Netflix was there, Grab was there as well, and it's acceptable for especially a company at this stage of aggression. Apple One subscription now in Malaysia. One subscription plan that includes, but not all, of Apple subscriptions. For just 1990 ringgit a month, you will get Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, and 1 GB of iCloud storage. I'm sorry for that. If you are living in the Apple ecosystem and would love to get on board, Apple's website says it will be available later this year, which isn't very far away considering it's already very late part of this year already. If your family would also like to participate in this deal, Apple also has a family plan at a very interesting 40 ringgit and 70 cents a month, where you can share with up to 5 other users. Yes, 5 plus you means 6. In my opinion, Apple Music could be sufficient for a lot of pop music lovers, but when it comes to that little bit more of fan-based content, Apple Music is not there yet. Compared to, then when you look at Apple TV Plus, it actually is nothing compared to the likes of Netflix. It does feel as if a lot of Apple subscriptions are there for the sake of making money. So they are focused on the big giant stuff, but they are not focused on creating the smaller content for the smaller people. You know, those kind of diversity. It's a very American focused thing. Whereas for Netflix, they have had such a good head start, right? Firstly, and secondly, because of that, they're so international that they have a lot of foreign shows in foreign languages, and they are so diverse, and you can explore so much of the world just via Netflix compared to what Apple TV Plus is providing. Maybe Apple TV Plus can actually push up and be good at what they do eventually, but at this point, not yet. And Apple Arcade is, to me, just a bunch of junk, to be honest. The games are not nearly as interesting. I would invest in one of these cloud gaming services. But if you are a mobile gaming kind of person, and you always bring your iPhone around and you just want to play those senseless games with no depth, then that's good for you. iCloud is a personal thing. I don't live in the iCloud storage ecosystem myself, but if you are and you have been, you get 1 gig for free with that 1990. It's actually a very good deal if you are an Apple subscriber kind of person. So get on board. Apple announces another event in November 10th, At this point, the only major thing Apple hasn't announced this year is their new lineup of MacBooks with their silicon chips. Okay, this is a quick TLDR for people who did not catch up on what Apple Silicon means. A few months ago, Apple said they will begin putting their iOS processors into MacBooks, essentially ARM processors into MacBooks. A little bit more detail on that. MacBooks have always run Intel chips. Intel chips need fan. All laptops need fan, and fan consumes more battery. And the architecture is of the software and everything, apps and everything is built differently as well. So now, because Microsoft has already introduced ARM-based Windows 10 devices, Apple also wants to go into the ARM-based architecture because they manufacture their own chips, or they design their own chips, which is their, I don't even know what their names, A14 Bionic, whatever. So they want to put these chips into the MacBooks, and it's good because why? There are a few things that will improve with this, which is number one, there'll be no fans. If there are no fans, that means the battery life will be longer. So we're not looking at single-digit battery life; we're looking at double-digit battery life. They'll be lighter as well, and possibly Apple will have more control over what can be installed in the machines. So this is a conspiracy, well, not conspiracy, but a theory that I'm thinking. Apple has always been about control, right? And in the MacBooks, traditionally, even from the long time ago, you can actually install something from a third-party website or browser. You install that DMG, drag it from left to right, it's there, it's downloaded, it's done. And throughout all this process, Apple does not make money from apps that transact, that you buy from outside, subscriptions and everything like that. Whereas in the iOS, every single app or service that you pay for through the iOS app, Apple actually gets 30% cut. And Apple wants to take this cut at the Mac side because they want to be able to make money. Because the first thing is that their exit from the China market in terms of hardware has severely hit their iOS sales. So hardware sales is a problem. So they need to make up for that loss in that huge market in China. And how they're going to do that is they want control over subscriptions. They want all payment that happens in the iOS and eventually on macOS to go through them. Which means that if Apple, this is just my theory, right? This is just my theory. If Apple brings silicon chips to all of their MacBooks, which means that they have the opportunity to rewrite the entire architecture of macOS. This also means that everything you install onto your MacBook will have to go through the App Store, which also means that you cannot download anything from the outside, which also means that you have to pay for everything, which also means that it could be very expensive because of the 30% cut. That is what I think. Anyhow, most predictions say that this year's release will feature weaker MacBooks, while more powerful ones may come in 2021. Weaker does not necessarily mean cheaper. Remember the old MacBooks? It's just say MacBooks, not the Air, not the Pro, those very thin, very small ones that are actually very expensive, more expensive than the Air, although they're not as powerful as the Air. That was made to fit into your handbags. Those kind of like really compact, really lightweight ones, kind of like the Mac OS version of an iPad. They may bring this to this range because they haven't had a refresh for this line in a very long time. So they may bring this in, and then maybe in 2021 onwards, they might refresh the Air, refresh the Pro, and it also gives them a bit of time to rework their architecture and bring all the software and everything up to speed as well. I don't know if they're going to be using emulators to translate, because emulators are not very efficient. I know that Microsoft has been using emulators, but because Microsoft have been using emulators for quite a while for a lot of other style of architecture as well, so they are good at using emulators, and people who use Microsoft are good at using emulators as well. But macOS people are not very good at it because they haven't had the experience of using it. So we'll just see. I guess next week we will be able to report and say what is the announcement all about and what I think about it. Spotify to boost artists' songs in exchange for less profit. In a way, it's quite a smart move because Spotify can treat their music discovery tool, because Spotify has a lot of music discovery areas, right? Tools and everything. They're going to treat it as like premium slots for artists to pay their way into. It's good for Spotify, and it probably is good for the artists as well. Like, for example, if I'm an artist and I want to boost my new music, right? So what I do is, instead of paying Spotify, I take less money from Spotify per music, per song played. And then in exchange for that, Spotify will boost my music into the discovery section or daily music, or Discover Weekly, things like that, in all the followers. But it's actually not very good for the users, because now we know music is because right now the algorithm is set in such a way that, not all the time, but as far as we know, most of the time, music is actually being pushed to us because we like them. We like this kind of music, therefore Spotify thinks that we also like other kind of music which is similar to the kind of music that we like. With this algorithm, it feels like the traditional music label controlling what's aired on radio all over again. Because people with money who can pay will kind of be able to control or influence what we listen and what we like. For those who don't know, the music industry is when you listen to something from Taylor Swift play on the radio, or something from 50 Cent play on the radio back then, or whoever, right, plays on the radio on the top 10 and everything, the entire thing is rigged, right? You don't actually like those music. You like it because you heard it so many times, and they have such a very simple, catchy tune that it's very easy for people to like. And then when more people listen to it, more people can relate to it, and therefore it becomes a popular music. So everything we listen to in the pop music scene is being curated for us by the music labels, the massive music labels who are making money through whatever that we're listening. And Spotify used to be a haven for people who actually like to discover undiscoverable artists. And if Spotify continues to start to do this, what happens is they are reverting back to what the music industry used to be before Spotify came about. And if this amplifies, then my entire Discover Weekly playlist will be filled with music by artists who want to promote themselves rather than music that I like, which is not right? So at this point of time, I would gladly pay a little bit more in order to keep this part of the algorithm out. I want to have Spotify discover the music that I like instead of the music that it thinks I like. Which brings us to another issue. TechCrunch has just reported that Spotify is indeed considering increasing prices in some markets. The company justifies this by saying that they have worked very hard to bring podcasts into the platform, which in turn increased the value per hour of the subscription. I don't think Malaysia is part of this, because I don't think a lot of Malaysians listen to podcasts. Yeah, anyhow, it's happening. So it may come, may not come. We don't know. Either way, here's the news of Spotify, right? You either increase the price or control what we listen to based on artists who pay for slots. Do not double dip. Choose one or the other. Because if we have to pay more, we are entitled for an algorithm that shows us what we want instead of what you think we want based on what artists are willing to pay. Fortnite goes to PS5 and Xbox. Having waged war with Apple, it seems that the people at Fortnite have a plan after all. The popular Battle Royale title will be available in PS5 and Xbox Series X and S at launch. The game will take advantage of new consoles' equipment upgrades from 4K 60 FPS resolution, improved physics and visuals that include trees that respond to explosions, and better weather effects. Okay, wait, trees that respond to explosions, so do they actually get broken or do they just sway? If they get broken, do they resurrect or what? Get restored 5 seconds later, or do they stay broken after that? Because if a tree is broken and if a person stands behind the tree, then you can see the person behind the tree. That person cannot use the tree as a wall, right? It is battle royale. You take guns and you shoot at each other. So, and if it's broken on the PS5 and the Xbox, and it's not broken on my mobile device because my mobile device does not have the horsepower to program these things, so does that mean that people who play Fortnite on PS5 and Xbox have an advantage over people who play on mobile? So I think it's sway. I don't think it's broken. In any case, we don't know till someone tries it out and reports it. In any case, while Sony hasn't confirmed official availability of PS5 in Malaysia, but it is coming soon, Microsoft said that they won't bring their consoles into our shores anytime soon. They never have, probably never will. But it's okay because we have a lot of opportunistic grey importers anyway. So we will still be able to get your Xbox, just not through official means. Right, this week's Tech of the Week, there isn't any noteworthy Tech of the Week this week, so I would rather not find something subpar to fill a spot, because I feel that it's not always that we get good Tech of the Week, and I don't want to find something just to fill a spot and it's not as Tech of the Week as, I hope that it is. So I'm going to keep it this empty and I will fill in when there is a good Tech of the Week, and if it's not, we'll just keep it empty. Alright, so that's all for Laytechs Weekly this week. Laytechs Weekly is available on Anchor FM, Overcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and more. Our full videos are available on YouTube, and I post bits and clips on Instagram and Facebook. This is Laytechs Weekly episode 4th November 2020. My name is Sean. Stay safe, stay home. Au revoir.